The film begins with a prison transport vehicle on its way to a high-security prison. Among the prisoners was a young man named Ricky. Ricky was sentenced to 10 years in prison for a crime of involuntary manslaughter. The metal detector beeped when Ricky passed through it, so the officers searched him, suspecting he had weapons. But they don't find anything on him, so they take him to the X-ray machine, which reveals 5 bullets in his chest. The guards are shocked and don't understand how this happened. One of the guards says, "We will call the doctor to remove the bullets from your body," but Ricky refuses and says, "I keep them in my body as a souvenir." After that, the guards took the prisoners to their cells, and we learn that this prison is specifically divided into 4 distinct sections, each ruled by a specific prisoner. These 4 prisoners in particular have permission from the prison warden, and they call themselves the Gang of 4. One day, Samuel, the right-hand man of the northern section's leader, in fact, orders his men to bully the old prisoner, Ma. Ma didn't understand why they were bullying him, as he always kept to himself. He just wanted to finish his prison term to meet his wife and children. He dropped a toy he had made for his children, and Samuel picked it up, telling him, "Ma, I heard that your request for early release from prison has been accepted, so you'll be getting out before your time." Samuel then broke the toy and told him, "You can't submit a request in the northern prison without coming to me first." Samuel continued to assault him, causing a painful injury to his face. Samuel's men were mocking him, and suddenly Ricky appeared and tackled Samuel, causing them to fall onto nails. Samuel got injured in his eye. The prisoner, Sint, wanted to hit Ricky, but Ricky looked him in the eye and intimidated him, so Samuel's men took their leader and left. In the next scene, we see Samuel after he has been treated and has a bandage wrapped around his face. He is very angry because of what Ricky did to him and says, "I must take revenge on him." His men suggest that he should have long deal with Ricky. Samuel likes the idea and agrees. He then goes to talk to a corrupt guard and asks him when the old man will be released from prison. The guard tells him, "Tomorrow." So Samuel says to him, "I'm offering you my salary for this month. In return, I want 2 things from you. First, get Long out of solitary confinement. Second, go to the old man Ma and lie to him, telling him that his request for release from prison has been cancelled." The corrupt guard agrees and goes to Ma, informing him that his request has been denied. Ma goes crazy and says, "How was the request approved?" The guard hits him to silence him. Ma becomes very upset because he wanted to see his wife and children, and his heart breaks, feeling like there's nothing left to live for. Consequently, he commits suicide at night. The news of his death spreads in the prison, and the inmates mourn him, saying that Ma was wrongfully imprisoned because he accidentally hit someone with his car while taking his wife to the hospital. Afterwards, the guards move Ma's body from the prison, and suddenly, Ricky appears in the yard and asks the guards why they have handcuffs on him when he's already dead. He breaks the handcuffs with his hand and places them, and sat with him the game he made for his children after Ricky fixed it and returned it to how it was. Ricky was very sad for him because Ma sacrificed himself for the tyrant Samuel. The next day, every prisoner goes to the bathroom to take a shower, and Samuel had ill intentions for Ricky. Suddenly the giant prisoner Long appears, blocking Ricky's path and charging at him to hit him. But Ricky delivers a very powerful punch to his stomach. The punch pierces through his stomach and finishes him off. And Samuel attacked Ricky with a nail, but Ricky wasn't affected by the nail that pierced his hand. He breaks Samuel's hand and hits him with a single blow, killing him. The guards arrest Ricky and take him with them, but they are covered by the prisoner Leo, who is the ruler of the northern section, and he tells Ricky, "You are a very brave young man." Ricky doesn't care about his words, and the guards take Ricky to solitary confinement. Ricky feels pain in his chest, and this pain reminds him of past memories when he was a high school student. He went to his parents' grave and saw his uncle Shan for the first time. Shan asked him about his martial arts skills. Ricky showcases his skills, but Shan hits him because he sees him as weak. Ricky asks him to teach him martial arts, because he wants to learn focus and self-control to help the weak. Shan agrees and tells him that to control himself, his mood must be right. He starts teaching him meditation and inner peace, telling him that this method will give him invaluable strength. Shan brings a rock and breaks it with his hand, instructing him to gather all his energy and destroy the rock. Ricky follows the order and destroys it. Shan throws a large number of rocks at him and Ricky destroys them all. Shan runs at him with a rock and Ricky destroys it with his chest. Shan is happy because Ricky learned all the lessons quickly. We return to the present time, and the guards take Ricky to the deputy warden of the prison, whose name is Martin. The deputy orders the guard to read Ricky's file, and the guard says that Ricky is an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage and wasn't excelling in his studies, so he entered the College of Music. He suddenly disappeared for 2 years and fought the Silos gang. He was arrested when he killed one of them. Martin dismisses the guard and asks Ricky where he was during those 2 years and how he survived with 5 bullets in his chest. Ricky ignores him and doesn't respond, so Martin tells him that he's going to be in prison anyway, and he'll find out. Confess, and you'll say where you were during the 2 years you disappeared. He also tells him that they received a picture this morning. Ricky moves closer to see the picture, and suddenly Martin stabs him with the weapon in his hand and also hits him in the face. He tells him, "I want to see the endurance of the person who killed Samuel and Long," and he continues to hit him hard in the face. Ricky was standing there taking the hits, and he spat blood on Martin's face. Martin gets angry and promises to finish him off while showing him a picture of Ricky's girlfriend. Ricky gets furious and breaks the table, and Martin fires a shot at him, but Ricky deflects the shot with a plate, and he hit the 2 guards. Martin is terrified of Ricky and tells him that if he thinks of hitting him, he will die immediately. Ricky shows him that he can take him down if he wants to, takes the picture of his girlfriend, and tells him not to interfere in his personal matters. He returns to his cell, plays the harmonica, and remembers his memories with his girlfriend, recalling when they used to play with paper airplanes and loved each other very much. His memories are interrupted by the guard, who orders Ricky to stop playing. The next day, Sant, who was Somel's right-hand man, was left without protection after his boss died. The prisoners, whom he had bullied before, gathered around him. This was also because Somel and his men were the reason for mass suicide. The prisoner Kwan wanted to take revenge and kill him with a knife, but Lee intervened and stopped him, telling him that if he killed him, he would never get out of prison. He reminded him of the rules, and that only he was allowed to kill prisoners, so he should leave Sant alone and let what happened to Ma be. But Kwan objects to this and tells him, "What's the point of staying in prison if you're not leading us to justice? I think you don't deserve the position you're in." Lee gets angry at this and kills Kwan with a knife. Martin arrives, congratulates Lee on his action, and takes Kwan's body to use it to lure Ricky. He talks to Lee in his office, gives him a knife, and orders him to kill Ricky, telling him, Lee was afraid because Ricky is a strong fighter. He stands in the courtyard with Kwan's body hanging, and Ricky takes the bait and comes to him. He takes off his jacket and prepares to fight. Lee attacks him, and Ricky only retreats. The prisoners advise Ricky, telling him, "Run away. As long as Lee is fighting, he will kill you, but if you stand and fight, we are all with you. Don't be afraid of Lee because you can kill him." Ricky gathers his strength and starts delivering powerful blows. But Lee throws a substance on him that makes Ricky unable to see and unable to fight Lee. Lee takes out a knife and takes advantage of the opportunity, striking him in the tendon of his hand. Ricky approaches a water basin, breaks it with his elbow, washes his eyes from the substance, and regains his sight. The prisoners were cheering for Ricky, and Ricky manages to hit Lee in the head and gouges out his eye. He stitches his injured tendon himself, astonishing Martin and the prisoners. Lee realizes that Ricky is going to kill him, so he decides to kill himself. However, he pulls out his intestines and tries to strangle Ricky, but Ricky quickly gets rid of him, lifts him into the air, and delivers a powerful blow to his skull, killing him. Afterwards, he lowers Kwan's body from the platform, hoping that Kwan might still be alive, but he turns out to be dead. Ricky says that Martin is the reason for Kwan's death, and the prisoners rush towards Martin to kill him, declaring that Ricky is now with them, and they are no longer afraid of anyone. But suddenly, the rest of the 4 gang members intervene, stop the prisoners, and brutally kill 2 of them. Martin introduces them to Ricky. This is Huang from the western section, Tyann from the eastern section, and Rago from the southern section. "And Harini encouraged you while you were fighting those 3, and the prisoners said, 'Ricky, let's gather and kill them.' But Ricky didn't want fights and pointless conflicts, so he carried Kwan's body and was leaving. Martin talked to him and offered him the position of governor of the northern section of the prison, but Ricky ignored him. A prisoner named Alan, who is actually Leo's son, catches his attention. He was very sad about his father's untimely death, so Ricky therefore sympathizes with him. He then sees Alan trying to play a tune on a leaf. Ricky sits down next to him and tries to teach him how to play on the leaf, but Alan surprises him by showing that his tongue was, in fact, cut off. That's precisely why he can't play, and it was Martin who cruelly cut his tongue to hide a certain secret. Ricky is shocked and decides to help him by giving him the most valuable thing he owns, his flute stick. Alan is very happy with it and gives Ricky the leaf as a gift. But when Ricky smells it, he discovers that it's drugs and asks him, "Where did you get this from?" Alan pointed to the western section, and Ricky is shocked to find out that they are growing drugs in the prison. He decides to stop them at any cost. He discovers that Huang, the governor of the western section, was monitoring them. He meets with his colleagues Tian and Raju and tells them what he saw and that Alan told Ricky they were growing drugs. Huang calls Alan and initially orders him to kill Ricky, but Alan refuses. Huang considers him a traitor and kills him, throwing his body in front of the prisoners in the yard. To serve as a lesson to the prisoners, Ricky sees his body, grabs a flute stick, breaks the flute, and explodes with anger. Martin gets upset that Ricky found out about the secret of growing drugs in the prison. At the same time, Ricky had started setting fire to the drug farms in the western section, and Huang witnesses this disaster. Ricky tells him, "I will kill you for Aline," and Huang responds, "I won't let you get away with what you've done," attacking him with all his might. He uses the Japanese kung fu style and delivers brutal blows to his heart at an incredible speed. Meanwhile, the prisoners take advantage of a burned gate and were about to escape through it. Martin gets upset and orders the guard to act and prevent them from escaping. The bigger problem for Martin is that the prison warden has returned from his vacation. Martin becomes anxious because the prison has descended into chaos, and he orders the 0-hour alarm to be sounded. Meanwhile, Ricky is lying on the ground in pain, but he remembers his uncle's teachings and gathers his strength. He was preparing to fight Huang, but suddenly Raju, the ruler of the eastern section, intervenes. Huang takes advantage of Ricky's distraction and attacks him, while Raju attacks Ricky with his weapon and restrains him. Tian suddenly appears and immediately grabs Ricky, exclaiming, "I won't let Ricky die before I have a fight with him." At that very moment, the 0-hour alarm goes off, and it's announced over the microphone that all prisoners must return to their cells within a minute, or they will be shot immediately. Tian doesn't care, and continues to hold on to Ricky, even though Huang orders him to kill Ricky to finish him off without hesitation. Then, the shooting begins. So Tian takes Ricky to the cell by themselves, but Martin unleashes a torrent of cement on them to kill Ricky at any cost. However, Ricky frees himself and quickly escapes from the cell. We then see him carrying Tian after saving him from the cement. Martin is surprised that Ricky is so kind-hearted, and we learn that Martin didn't care if Tian died and was willing to sacrifice him. In order for Ricky to die, Ricky couldn't stand on his feet due to the cement covering his body. He falls and loses consciousness. Martin captures him. Martin orders guards to imprison Ricky. The next day, prison director Legacy visits prison with his spoiled son, Wang. Legacy learns from Martin that illegal farms have been burned, driving him crazy, leading him to start taking medication. Martin takes him to Ricky and tells him that Ricky is the reason for the farms being burned. We see Ricky tied up, his body covered in cement, but as soon as he sees Legacy, he breaks the cement and the handcuffs and grabs Legacy by the neck. Suddenly, Tian breaks through the wall, hits Ricky, ties his hands to the cell pillars, and starts beating him. Ricky is unable to free himself, and Tian hits him repeatedly and mercilessly. He grabs his head with all his might to crush it and kill him, but Ricky manages to free himself and delivers a single, powerful blow that kills him. Huang is utterly shocked and horrified and can't bear the sight. Legacy decides to get rid of Ricky and drops an enormous and heavy iron block on him to crush him. Ricky tries to hold on, with great effort as much as he can, but what makes it even harder for Ricky is that Legacy electrifies him with a strong current. Ricky can't withstand it and collapses to the ground, but it turns out Tian is alive and desperately asks Martin for immediate help. But Martin tells him that he's no longer needed after being defeated by Ricky. Ricky breaks the pillars and escapes from the cell, trying to hold the iron block so Tian can get out. But Tian can't move and is crushed by the iron block, leaving only his picture with his mother. Ricky gets furious with Martin and Legacy, and he tells them that every prisoner has family waiting for them to come out safely, and you kill them like insects. Legacy doesn't care about his words and traps him in a new snare, ordering Martin to gather all the prisoners. In the next scene, we see Ricky sitting in a pit, chained, surrounded by all the prisoners, and Legacy says, "Ricky must be punished for what he's done. I order all the prisoners to bury Ricky alive, but 2 prisoners refuse because they like Ricky. So Legacy orders the guard to shoot the 2 prisoners, which scares the rest of the prisoners, and they decide to obey Legacy's orders. They apologize to Ricky for what they are about to do, and each prisoner steps forward and throws a pile of sand on Ricky. Legacy says Ricky will be buried for a week. And if, after this period, he comes out alive, I will leave him alone. Legacy said this because he was confident that Ricky couldn't possibly survive, and he only left Ricky with a breathing tube. At night, the prisoners hoped that Ricky could endure and survive, and they wouldn't forgive themselves if anything happened to him. And Juanjo Raju puts a piece of meat in the breathing tube to block it, intending for Ricky to die of suffocation. But Ricky manages to break the tube and eats the piece of meat raw. He remembers the past when his girlfriend Yin was coming back from school and saw the young people in the street using illegal substances. And suddenly, that thug appears and kidnaps her, intending to present her to his boss named Polly. But Yin managed to escape from them, ran to the rooftop, and kept running until she accidentally fell off the roof and died. Rick learns about what happened to her and decides to take revenge on those responsible, so he goes to confront Polly. Polly shoots several bullets into Rick's chest, but Rick doesn't flinch. He attacks Polly, hits him in the face, and kills him, then leaves. This was the crime that landed Rick in prison. We return to the present time, and after a week, the guards pull Rick out of the pit, thinking he was dead. But Rick surprises everyone by still being alive. He breaks the iron chains and frees himself. The prisoners were happy for him, but Huang intervenes and hits him. Rick loses consciousness due to lack of food and water. When he wakes up, he finds himself surrounded by iron from all directions. And Legacy tells him, "You are the bravest boy I've ever seen in my life. Let's forget the past and be friends because I need someone like you to be one of my men." Rick replied, "Impossible, a wolf and a pig. Can't be friends. You've destroyed many people due to your cultivation of contraband, and I won't stay silent about this." And Raju hits him, so he won't speak, and Legacy tells Rick, "Then we will become enemies." Raju continues to beat him, and Legacy asks him, "Where were you during the 2 years you disappeared?" But Rick refuses to speak, so Wang Ji intervenes and decides to deal with him. He takes out sharp blades and forces them into Rick's mouth, closing it, so he can't spit them out, which was one of the harshest forms of torture. Legacy tells him, "You will talk or you will die," and when he removes the plaster, Rick spits the sharp blades in his face, so Legacy orders Rick to be imprisoned immediately. A prisoner sneaks in and gives Rick food, telling him to stay strong because he is the one who will save them. Rick eats and thanks him, but the prisoner doesn't respond. However, Cinti sees him and informs Martin, and Martin drags the prisoner across the ground. After stabbing him brutally, when he went to Rick's cell, he found it empty because Rick was hiding in the ceiling. Then, Rick killed Sand and delivered a strong blow to Martin's face. He went to check on the prisoner and found him dying. Meanwhile, Martin finds all the prisoners gathered around him. They decide to cut off his hand, and the guards intervene and start hitting the prisoners. Rick defends them and fights the guards. The guards are afraid of Rick and retreat. Rick takes Martin to reach Legacy. Legacy pulls out his gun to kill Rick and the prisoners, but the prisoners block the gunfire using Martin's body. At that moment, Hong and his men intervene, and a battle ensues between them and Rick. Initially, Rick couldn't handle them, especially since Huang is very skilled in Kung Fu, and Rago burns Rick with boiling water. Rick dodges Huang's strike and cuts off his leg with a single blow, killing him. Rago tries to escape the battle, but Legacy kills him because he doesn't like cowards. He refuses to shoot Rick with the gun because he knows Rick can withstand gunfire. Legacy transforms into a strange, giant monster and tells Rick, "Show me your strength." Legacy hits Rick and breaks against the wall. Rick responds and pierces his stomach, but Legacy is unaffected and his strength increases with every blow he receives from Rick. Legacy's power was immense, but Rick gathers all his strength and strikes him in lethal spots. Then he lifts him and throws him into a food grinder, completely killing Legacy. Rick grabs Legacy's head and takes it out to the prisoners and guards, and tells them that no more fighting will happen. With that, Rick ends this chaos. The last thing Rick does is destroy the prison wall to free all the prisoners. And here we reach the end of the episode. Don't forget to hit like and help us reach 10,000 likes for this episode. For those who made it to the end of the episode, I want you to put the arm emoji in the comments so I know who enjoyed the episode. Bye bye.